Hello patrons, this is Cyber Saloon. So today we're going to be going over ReZero Season 2, Episode 15. And wow, I can easily say this is beyond the shadow of a doubt one of my favorite episodes. Everything about this episode was exceptionally well done. The voice acting, the animation, everything about this episode was extremely well done. I was completely and utterly shook by the ending of this episode. I did not see it coming. I did not even think we would even get this in the entirety of series of ReZero. So when that ending happened, the way that it did, I was completely taken like aback. I did not think that was going to happen. But seriously, this episode was very well done. Shout out to White Fox; they did a great job with this episode. So we kind of pick up from last episode where Garfield has been kind of tricked into coming into where the original body of Ryuzu is, like encased in that crystal. And he thinks he's coming to meet Ryuzu, like one of her clones. But he isn't, and but Otto has basically tricked him into coming there to buy time for Subaru to basically talk to Emillia, because they need to hold like Garfield off enough so that they can buy time for Subaru to talk to Emillia. And you see Garfield kind of tricks him, like he's like, oh, like, you know, you've kind of, he tries to talk to him a little bit, and then Garfield, of course, to the surprise of no one, basically just sucker punches him in the chest. And as Garfield's leaving, he ends up falling into this pit, and he notices that Otto has like stolen like the stone around his neck, which is extremely important. And he like falls in this giant pit, and Otto kind of gives this speech like he doesn't really have many human friends, and you know, like most people, I was like, what's that supposed to mean? And then like he falls in this pit full of these Zota bugs, where they kind of look like beetles, like they kind of glow in the dark. They don't really look like they have any really offensive capabilities or anything like that, but they end up just attacking. But there's so many of them, it's just they're kind of hard to deal with. You know, like an individual wouldn't like probably do that much damage, obviously, but like there looked like there was easily thousands in this pit, and they were giving Garfield kind of a run for his money, and they were kind of like giving him a little bit of grief. So an Otto backstory wasn't even something that I honestly didn't even think they would even explore. Otto is like an important character. He's Subaru's friend. He's someone who's obviously been there since season 1. But I didn't think they'd give him a backstory the way that they did. The way they did his backstory is actually rather interesting. Like we learned that Otto has a divine basically gift that allows him to basically communicate with animals of all types. Whether it be insects, those land dragons like partridges, any type of animal, cats, anything really. And like when he was younger, he had a lot of trouble because he was basically hearing like noise from humans, animals, insects, and like all these other various branches, and he didn't really know what to do with it. His parents obviously thought there was a lot wrong with him, and they like asked the doctor to see if there was something wrong with him, and the doctor couldn't figure it out. And his brother actually ended up teaching him how to like write and speak and whatnot, and figured out that he was actually able to talk to animals. But his brother warned him. He's like, okay, like your divine like gift is like basically, it's extremely important, but it's not something you should ever really tell people about, because if you start talking to people about this, they're going to try to take advantage of you. Because if you like on the surface, it's like, okay, he can talk to animals, like, you know, insects, like that's not that big of a deal. But if you think about it, that's actually pretty like that's an important ability. Like you could do a lot in terms of surveillance, in terms of like being able to talk to animals and basically being able to bend them to your will. So, you know, it's not something you really want to be able to go around telling people that you have that divine gift being able to do. So he kind of like unfortunately, like I can't tell if it's his sister or brother, goes and ends up telling like the town, like my brother can like talk to animals, like it's his divine gift, like this one was weird to me. So instead of like, I'm like, okay, like Otto could have summoned like a couple of like 100 like Zota bugs maybe, and like it would have probably proven the point. Like, okay, like this is this divine gift I have. I can talk to bugs, animals, and whatnot. But this guy ends up summoning like the Zerg swarm, like as soon as like he just summons this massive thing. It looks like tens of thousands of these Zota bugs just like start swarming at people. I'm like, Otto, like my guy, like it's just like you're trying to like ease people into this, and you like summon a giant swarm of bugs. It's like that's probably not the best way to do it. You know, it's like you could have called in like a couple hundred maybe, and it would have proved the point. It wouldn't have terrified people, maybe in the exact extent that it ended up doing. But of course, people in town obviously feared him after that. You know, if you saw some guy just summoning like 100,000 like locusts or whatnot, you'd probably be a little bit spooked too. So Otto ends up like kind of like sealing his divine like gift basically until he like gets a little bit older, and like it's kind of he's like seeing this girl, but she's kind of a hoe, so she's like seeing a bunch of other dudes on the side, and like this one guy comes up and basically beats Otto up in the snow, and Otto's like trying to figure out what's going on here, and he talks to like all these cats, he talks to all these different animals, like trying to like figure out what's going on here, and like he figures out that this girl's been like double, triple, quadrupling, pentadipping. Like she's talking to like a bunch of other dudes like on the side, and she's a hoe. And like he goes and like tells her that, and then like the guy gets pissed, and the girl basically kind of like exiles him from the village, and Otto's just like, what the hell? So Otto basically gets like exorcised or like exiled from the village, and then he ends up becoming a traveling merchant. And he actually does like pretty well for himself. He it shows him he's got like a bunch of gold. He's doing very well for himself as a traveling merchant. But this is what kind of like shook me. Like he runs in the Beetlejuice in the witch's cult. Like when I saw that, I was like, Otto, like, you know, this seems kind of random that being brought up. It's just like it's like that's a pretty big deal. It's like he runs in the Beetlejuice and the witch's cult, and like he should be happy. We all remember what happened to Rim in season 1. Like they basically tortured her, and like Beetlejuice basically like slowly twisted her neck around and killed her in a pretty brutal way. So Otto should be thankful that like he even lived. I can't imagine many people that run in the Beetlejuice probably last or live too long. Like, maybe like 1 in 1,000 if even escape that. So like this beast like dude, I think he was part of the assault team, I'm pretty sure, that attacked the White Whale in season 1. And those little chibi cat looking things, I don't know what exactly they are, but they did play a part in season 1 against the whale. I do remember that. They basically end up freeing him from his little trap, from his little run in with the witch's cult. Again, he's very lucky he even survived that in the first place. So with this part's pretty. Garfield's like chasing him through the forest, and Otto's like running, like all the animals keep telling him like, hey, he's coming behind you, and like one of the animals in the forest, like he's coming, you better get ready to die. They're not exactly giving him like encouraging words, like, okay, like Garfield's like straight up running behind you, and like obviously like there isn't much that Otto can really do against Garfield. So Garfield ends up catching up with him. And he's like, he asks him to give him back the stone. Obviously beats him around a little bit. And then, like, out of nowhere, Ram actually shows up and actually starts fighting Garfield. And, like, Garfield's kind of shook that Ram's, like, coming in. He's like, because Roswell and Ram are kind of, like, following Ram and Garfield are kind of following Roswell's instructions. And then, like, they're trying to, like, they're following what he wants to do. And then Ram is kind of deviates a little bit from that. And this, surprisingly, okay, so Garfield, like, goes into his monster mode. And he just, like, his, like, berserk mode for those, in the last core, remember, like, basically killed a bunch of innocent people. Ram ends up beating the living shit out of him. Like, this is like anime in one footage. Like, you see, it's funny. Like, you see Ram, she's like in a, like, she's in a maid costume, and she's like beating the living shit out of this giant monster. Never change anime, I love it. But, like, she's actually, like, doing pretty well against Garfield, especially in his beast form. I see he's exceptionally, like, strong. And we saw that in the last season. Of course, he got, like, yeeted on by Satella, but, I mean, that shouldn't be too much of a surprise. But Garfield gets, like, a good hit on Ram. And so, like, he does a little bit of damage. Otto and Ram are basically just trying to hold them off, hold Garfield off for, like, as long as possible. And this is where, like, oh my, this part was so beautiful. And then it switches over to Subaru and Emillia. Before I even start going into, like, everything that happened during this sequence between Subaru and Emillia, I seriously want to give a major shout out. The voice actors for both Emillia and Subaru did an exceptional job in this. Emillia especially, I thought her voice actor, like, it was really powerful, like the way that it came across. I thought that it was extremely well done. So I just want to kind of give, like, definitely a big shout out to those two, because they did an exceptional job. So Emillia is, like, hiding in kind of like this temple, and Subaru kind of goes to where she is and, like, makes a comment that, like, he was hoping that, like, she would be here. Like, half of him really wanted her to be here. Half of him, like, really hoped she would be here. And It's like a small thing, but I think that meant a little bit to Emillia because she's half elf, and so I think that comment kind of made like a little bit of an impact before this even started. So, and then we start to get to what starts off as a conversation essentially, and starts ramping into a major argument. Emillia thought that Subaru would be mad that she ended up running off, and basically not telling anyone. And she gets really upset because, like, Subaru never gets mad at her. Like, in the entire series, like, any time that, like, you would expect Subaru to get mad at her, anytime that she expects Subaru to get mad at her, he never does. And it's just, like, because he obviously, like, loves her and really cares about her. And not to mention, he knows a little bit more, just because of his ability and the way, like, the amount of times that Subaru has died, and the amount of, and what he's gone through. It kind like, there's no way, like, if it happened to anyone, like, that would give you kind of a little bit of more of appreciation on life in general. So and especially him with Emillia, it's like he's not probably gonna get too upset about her for running off, especially what she's been dealing with her trials and everything. But Subaru, like, comes there to basically recharge her batteries and to kind of explain to her, like, he's always gonna be on her side. And he kind of tells her, like, look, like, you just because, like, your pet runs away and just, like, some of this other shit this happens, it's like you can't really use that as an excuse. It's just like he kind of goes on like that he believes she's stronger than that, and she kind of needs to, like, to get over this. It's like she can't act like this all the time. Like, everything, you know, that just because life kicks you down, you can't obviously be, like, depressed about it all the time. It's like you have to move forward in some way. And Subaru basically tries to explain this to her. We get to the crux why Emillia is even upset in the first place. Like, Emillia very clearly has trust issues, and that's somewhat understandable. Like, I don't know whom I haven't read. I was gonna wait until this season is done to voyage further, like voyage into the light novels especially. But I don't know who Mother Fortana is. I don't know if we see her this season, but her, Puck, and Emillia, like, and Subaru, like, are the people that, like, she obviously has a lot of respect for and cares about a lot. And they've all basically broken a promise in some way to her. And, like, a big deal to Emillia is, like, if you're gonna promise something, and she goes kind of on, like, a kind of tangent on this, like, if you can't break a promise to someone, like it's wrong, and, like, and she's obviously really upset with Subaru that he's done that. And Subaru is, like, trying to, like, and then he says it, like, this whole time, like, when she's just, like, railing against him, and he's just going off and trying to tell her that, like, he's gonna support her. Like, he tells her, like, I love you. Like, and he finally comes out and says it. And this whole time I was like, Subaru, like, you have to say it now, dude. It's like, you can't hold off on this any longer. He's told her before, like, right after the White Whale arc, but, like, he had to tell her now. And, like, she still doesn't trust him fully because he broke his promise in the first place. But, like, her memories are coming back, because when Puck's contract was broken, all of Emilia's, like, memories she had before she was frozen, they're starting to come back to her now. And Subaru's basically trying to explain to her that, you know, he wants to be by her, like, he wants to help her overcome this challenge. Like, you have to face your past, like Subaru did, and it's just like you can't hide from this stuff forever. But Emillia was just so, like, pissed that he even broke, like, a promise to even get. She starts, well, I believe you if you like, hadn't, like, lied to me. And they start this, just, it's a fuck mad argument. Like, they just start screaming at each other this whole time. Emillia's pissed that he broke her promise, and, like, Subaru cannot come out and say it, but Subaru's like all the shit that I've done for you, it's just like he obviously can't tell her why, but he's like, all the suffering, and, like, it doesn't say it, but, like, all the stuff that he's gone through is to try to help her. Like, he focuses really only on her and tries to put up like a tough act kind of in front of her and focus mainly on her. And, like, she doesn't understand, and, like, Subaru can't obviously tell her because it'll kill her. And they just start screaming at each other. Like, it just gets, like, fuck. Why we've all known people, whether it be parents, like, people who are in relationships, we've seen, like, this argument go off before, and, like, it just spirals into, like, a never, like, you know, ending spiral of madness, into, like, a mad argument. And I think that the animators and the voice actors did a really good job of kind of showing that. The writing as well, obviously. And they just start screaming at each other. And it looks like it's just all going downhill. And honestly, again, I want to shout out the voice actors did a great job with this. Both the actress who plays Emillia, especially, like, some of her lines hit hard when she was talking about if you're gonna make a promise to someone, you can't break it. And Subaru's voice actor did a really good job as well. And then I did not expect this, honestly. I really didn't. I did not know what happened in this episode. I did not know this fight was even going to occur. Like, this whole time, but you know that, like, when two people have an argument, but they obviously love each other, but, like, they just still, like, the tension, that it just keeps rising and rising. This whole time, I'm just like, Subaru, like, you have to do it, man. Like, you have to kiss her. Like, you have to show her, like, something that, like, proves you actually love her. And I didn't even know he ended up kissing her. Like, I was just like, Subaru, like, there's like that picture, like, well, we're waiting. Like, that was basically me the whole time. Like, Subaru, you have to. This is like the perfect moment. And then it happens. Like, he tells her, like, and she says, he basically tells her, like, well, I'll prove it. And if you don't agree with it, you can, like, move away. And honestly, this scene was extremely well animated. Like, it was really beautiful. The way that White Fox animated the scene was very well done. It was very pretty. They end up kissing, and, like, it was very well done. Again, I did not even think we would get this in the entirety of the series. Like, we all know that ReZero is the suffering train with small, like, kind of trace elements of basically, like, hope, like, planted along. But I did not see Subaru ever getting this, and I hope it's a checkpoint, man. Like, I hope that no matter what happens next, I hope that this save point is there for, like, that no matter where he goes forward from here, no matter how many times he may die, that both Subaru and Emillia both have this moment to start from. Like, I really do. It was a very well done moment, and it needed to happen. And I think it's important that they both have this moment, like, as a save point, like, for Subaru anyways. And it was very well done. And Subaru kind of, like, tells her that they're going to move forward together, like, that Subaru's always going to be there for her no matter what. Like, Emillia is kind of worried because her memories are changing and coming back to her, that he might not like her anymore. But of course we know that Subaru's not going to do that. And honestly, this whole sequence, again, I can't like praise it enough. It was so, the music, like, again, when the music started putting in at the height of their argument, all the way up to the part where they kissed, it was extremely well done. Again, White Fox did a great job, so shout out to them. The whole animation staff did a great job, the voice actors, everything. So after they kiss and they kind of have their talk about Subaru, he tells her, like, they're gonna move forward together. Basically, we see Garfield's, like, sitting out there, and I assume he knew, like, what happened. And obviously, it's not really too much of a surprise that he ended up winning in some type of way. I don't think he killed Otto or Ram. I think he likes Ram. I think there's some kind of bond there, and I don't think he killed Otto either. So after that, what I think's gonna happen the next? I hope this is a save point at the minimal, because I think that both Emillia and Subaru needed this. So what I think's gonna happen next? I think that Subaru has shown, heck, his determination enough through using Otto and Ram being on their like, Garfield trusts Ram, and so her helping Subaru, like, I think that Subaru's gonna be able to convince Garfield, hopefully, that, like, that Sanctuary needs to be basically liberated at this point. And I think the next episode it will win Subaru it will win Garfield to the side of Emillia, Subaru, and whatnot. I think most of Sanctuary is on board at this point, because and I think we will see Emilia's trial next episode. I do think we will see what is traumatizing her so much. I think we might see a little bit of Frozen Bond in there. For anyone who hasn't seen Frozen Bond, it's really good. I highly recommend you see it. It's on Crunchyroll. It's basically how Puck and Emillia met. I think we might see a little bit of that, and hopefully we'll see a little bit of the Fortana character, who was kind of like a mother figure to Emillia, in the next episode. Again, like, I can't wait to see that. This episode overall was, I would give it a 10 out of 10. Like, everything about this episode was well done. Otto's backstory, all the way up to Emillia and Subaru's argument. So I thought this episode was great, and I cannot wait to see the next one. What did you guys think in the comments below? Did you guys think that Emillia and Subaru's argument was crazy. Where you were like me, where you like the whole time I was like that picture from I forget what it's from, but it was like, well, we're waiting. That whole time, like I was like, Subaru, kiss her, like you have to. This is the perfect moment. Well, again, it was a great episode. I will see you guys in the next one, and take care.